do want to tell you that this is the 13th annual Delaware Heroes Breakfast. I don't know what happened in the 12 previous ones, but I'm glad to. Everybody's afraid to come join on the 13th one, but it's lucky for me. I'm glad to be here, and I want to welcome all of you to it as well. You know, the American Red Cross and I have done a few events over the last several months with the Red Cross, but we're certainly proud to partner and honor the individuals in our community who encompass the true spirit of what it means to be a hero. It's going to be a theme, a recurring theme that we'll hear a lot about today. This year's honorees join more than 60 past Delaware County heroes and become part of a distinguished group of individuals right here in Delaware County. Many have given countless hours of service to others, and all consistently put others' needs before their own. On behalf of our community, I would like to thank everyone in attendance for coming out here this morning, for being here, and for this morning's honorees as well, for being here for them. We thank you for all that you do in this community. Now to kick things off, yeah, absolutely, we can do that. To get things started this morning, I would like you to stand if you're able for the presentation of the colors. Our parade of heroes are coming in, the Pledge of Allegiance, and invocation. It is all going to happen as we stand and color guard. The floor is yours. Thank you to the color guard right there from Delaware Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 1095, for joining us today. Thank you. Right now, it is my distinct honor to welcome Mayor Carolyn Riggle to the stage right now. She is going to share a proclamation with us for our Heroes event. Mayor Riggle.
Whereas, in the city of Delaware has the responsibility to recognize occasions of outstanding significance. And whereas the American Red Cross has selected November as a special time to recognize and thank our local heroes, those who reach out and help people in need. Whereas American Red Cross heroes help disaster victims recover. They give blood to help hospital patients. They brighten the day of an injured service member. They step forward to help someone having a heart attack. Whereas we would like to remember our heroes here in Delaware who help people in need. They work tirelessly to assist their neighbors when they need a helping hand. Whereas across the country and around the world, the American Red Cross responded to disasters. When an injured service member ended up in a hospital far from home, the American Red Cross offered comfort. When the hospital patient needed blood, American Red Cross blood donors helped them. When a lifeguard jumped in to save a drowning child, or someone stepped up to help a heart attack victim, the American Red Cross was there. Whereas we dedicate this month of November in Delaware to all those who support the community and the Red Cross mission to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. Our community depends on the American Red Cross, which relies on donations of time, money, blood to fulfill its humanitarian mission. Now therefore I, Carolyn K. Riggle, Mayor of the City of Delaware, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution of the laws of the City of Delaware and the State of Ohio, do hereby proclaim November 2015 as American Red Cross Heroes Month. And I encourage all my citizens to support our community, this organization, and its noble humanitarian mission.
She left it up here for me. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that formal recognition. The ones I'm talking about are the ones who have given the ultimate sacrifice, those who have given their lives in the service to others. Please join me now in a moment of silence so that we can honor them. With that, I would like to introduce Matt Berger right now. He's the Regional Chief Executive Officer for the Ohio Buckeye region. He will tell us how the Red Cross assists local residents from all walks of life and the impact he has seen firsthand.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right, so one more time. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. This is just an amazing morning. I'm just so honored to be here today. I consider myself fortunate every day that I get to work for the American Red Cross, and I get to see the amazing work that's done. Today we're going to talk about heroes. You're going to hear about some amazing stories. But I want to by a show of hands here. Who's either volunteered, given blood, or done something involving Red Cross in your lifetime? Yeah, that is spectacular. That is what Red Cross is all about. It's about neighbors helping neighbors, a person in service for a person in need. So thank you everybody for being here today, for stepping up and being a hero. And again, you're going to be inspired by the great stories we're getting here today. So I'm just honored and pleased to be here. I also want to talk really quick about, how many of you grabbed this? You see this on the way coming in today? So one of the things that we're doing a lot of it here in Delaware County and a lot more to come, is we're going door to door in neighborhoods, knocking on doors, working with families to see if they have a home evacuation fire safety plan, and also installing smoke alarms for free. We do have a partnership with our fire departments, and we know that this is going to save lives. Across the country, we've saved 26 lives, and we had our first life saved in Columbus just last month from a fire smoke alarm that was installed by Red Cross. So please, if you haven't seen this, grab one on the way out the door. And then when you're thinking about something you want to do, we're going to have lots of community events here in Delaware County where you can get involved, walk with us, go door to door, and help save a life. So thank you for that. I also want to right now, I want to call up Mark Garrison. Where's Mark? There he is. Come on up, Mark. So I want to thank everybody today for putting this event. I want to thank the board of directors. I want to thank volunteers. I want to make a special thank to Mark Garrison. He's what we call our community volunteer leader, or CVL. Red Cross, we have a lot of acronyms. I know folks from the firefighting, law enforcement, and EMS can relate to our acronyms, but Mark is our lead volunteer here in Delaware County. He puts in countless hours to help make sure that we can deliver the services, be there in times of need, and help spearhead campaigns like Home Fire Prevention Campaign. So I want to offer my personal thanks to you, Mark, and to the board for all you've done for Delaware County. Thank you, and thank you for having me out here today. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Good morning. I'm very pleased to be here with you this morning, and certainly to celebrate these awesome heroes. By joining us today, you become involved in an organization and a community that touches lives each and every day. Simply put, the Red Cross delivers hope in dark times, and in times from hurricanes to floods, house fires to tornadoes. We are always there. Volunteers from around the world, right here in Delaware, make it possible along with our supporters like you. As one of the fastest growing communities in Ohio, Delaware has a lot of opportunity and character with that opportunity. To keep up with the growth, we need your help to continue to deliver the services that we offer every day. So starting today, through the end of the year, I am challenging you to help like never before. How, you may ask? Well, that is easy, through a new volunteer. New heroes in disguise. So here are the nuts and bolts of this challenge. For every 3 new volunteers you bring into the Red Cross that stay for at least 3 months as a volunteer, we will provide you and 3 of your closest friends a full CPR and first aid course. You can call it the 333 challenge. It's a win-win for everyone. Certainly, we're looking for new volunteers, and it's a rewarding opportunity. I guarantee you at the end it will be worth it. 2016 holds a lot of new and exciting things for Delaware County and the community. In conclusion, let me reflect on a personal experience that occurred while I was out on a DAC call, actually one of my very first DAC calls. We went to a single-family home. It was a house fire. The home was totally destroyed. We pulled up and started our typical assessment, looking at what we could do to provide assistance to the clients. Not long after we got there, I was being followed around by an 8-year-old boy. And he said, he didn't really say anything, he was just looking to see what I was doing. Well, shortly after, I sat down on a bench. I was writing some things in our case file. He sat down next to me and asked, "Is everything going to be okay?" And will I get my best friend Pete back? Well, at the time, I didn't know who Pete really was. And so I do remember, however, what my response was. Yes, everything is going to be okay. Life has its challenges, but they only make us better at the end. Certainly, we know that through the heroes that are here today. I soon figured out that Pete was his stuffed animal friend that he had always had. So I went to our van and pulled out one of our famous Mickeys. I actually have one today for you. Took it over and said, I know you miss Pete a lot, but Mickey could use some company and a friend as well. He said, I knew everything was going to be all right since you guys are here to help. Sometimes it isn't the big things that we do that make the difference. Often it's the little things in life that really shine and make the world better, just like the heroes here today. Thanks again for being here. Certainly remember the 333 challenge, and we hope you will consider joining us as a volunteer. I'm going to turn it back over to our MC, Jeff.
Mark, thank you for sharing that story. And this is what you've all been waiting for here this morning. Certainly, we're going to honor this year's unbelievable Delaware County heroes, and we had a phenomenal response to our award nomination process. We wouldn't want to be on that judging panel. Very difficult stuff. We will be recognizing 2 healthcare award winners. The healthcare sponsor, Ohio Health Grading Memorial, CEO and President Steve Bunyard is here. He'll be doing the honors of sharing these prestigious award winners with us. So Steve, come on up. Let's do this.
Thanks, Jeff. Being in the healthcare profession and also as a supporter of this great event here every year, I have the true honor of being able to share with you the impact that our first winner, our first healthcare winner, has made through many acts of courage and heroism. First winner of the 2015 Healthcare Hero Award is Ruth Downing. Now, Ruth is not only an outstanding nurse practitioner, she is also a pioneer. Ruth started a forensic healthcare consulting business to offer trainings to nurses, legal professionals, counselors, EMS, and law enforcement officials. Ruth travels to South America regularly to provide education to help victims of human trafficking and sexual abuse. Ruth is also active in the international program Free the Girls, working along with safe houses across the world to rescue women from human trafficking. She works tirelessly to improve laws side by side with legislators and prosecutors. Ruth has impacted not only Delaware and this community, but also in the national and international communities. Ruth emulates the word hero with her courage and commitment to others. So if you would please, join me in a round of applause for Ruth Downing. So it's now my pleasure to speak about the second healthcare hero. In fact, it's heroes. At the 2015 All-Horse Parade here in Delaware, a spectator at the parade collapsed on the ground and went into cardiac arrest. Dr. Art Kumpf and firefighter Dan Fancy rushed to him immediately and began to perform CPR. Their quick and outstanding work led to the successful resuscitation and survival of this patient and resulted in a community in awe of their quick response. Please join me in recognizing firefighter Dan Fancy for his quick and outstanding work. Unfortunately, Dr. Kumpf could not be with us today, and he will receive his award at another time. Now it's my pleasure to have you welcome Farrell Law to the stage from Source Point to present our next award.
Good morning. Many times we hear of individuals that have made an impact, made a small impact, but in a critical way in our community. Today, I'm very pleased to recognize Gail Toline as a recipient of the Older Hero Award and share his amazing story with you. Over the nearly 3 years since he began volunteering for SourcePoint, Gail Toline has driven 4,540 miles in service to older adults in Delaware County. He has volunteered 491 hours and has personally assisted at least 195 older adults with tasks that they may not have been able to complete without his assistance. Gail delivers Meals on Wheels to clients in the city of Delaware. He delivers nutritional supplements, such as Ensure, to clients throughout the county. He uses his own car to transport our own clients and take them to medical appointments throughout Central Ohio, where he stays with them and returns them to their home. Gail is a modest person whose kindness and huge heart are an asset to the Delaware community and our residents. Gail, please join me to accept the 2015 Older Hero Award. Thank you. Now join me in welcoming our EMA Director and American Red Cross Board member, Sean Miller, to the podium to present our next award.
Hi, it's my distinct honor today to be here and introduce someone to you who has done a lot for his community. And we're very fortunate in this country. We have a lot of great things going for us: freedom, relative material prosperity, but sometimes I think we take perhaps the small things for granted. So just imagine not having a bed to go home to, a warm bed on a cold winter night. Imagine that ceases to exist in your life. Well, for some people, that is unfortunately the case. And the person of which I'm speaking is Sean Worley with Liberty Township Fire Department. And he is a member of one unit there, and Captain Batorik is a supervisor. And Captain Batorik nominated Sean because he has really run with the ball with this project. So Captain Batorik approached his crew a while back and said, hey, I've heard about this great thing that they're doing in Circleville. It's a group of individuals, and they call themselves the Bed Brigade. And so essentially, they just simply make beds for those who need them. And when talking with Sean this morning, he was quick to point out that while his hand touches every part of the project, it was very much a joint effort with his fellow firefighters in Liberty Township, but also with Home Depot, with Ohio Wesleyan University, and with Walmart, and his church as well. Home Depot provides materials. Ohio Wesleyan has been a source of mattresses, and Walmart provides the bedding. So Sean, please join me. Up next, Mark Louisiana.
Mark Garrison, folks.
I am pleased today to present the 2015 Youth Hero to a very deserving young man. Evan Lamping, a 14-year-old Delaware resident, stepped forward on July 24, 2015. Evan jumped into action when a complete stranger was having a severe reaction to a bee sting. This young man has a severe allergy to peanuts and carries an EpiPen with him at all times. Evan sprung into action, grabbing his EpiPen and administering it to the gentleman having the reaction. Evan's quick response and action prevented the man from going into shock and having more life-threatening issues. Congratulations to Evan, and Evan, please join me up on stage. And now I have to look at you next. I would like to welcome Brittany McInnes to the stage to present our heroes, or our military.
World War II veteran Bill Combs is truly an inspiration to the community. Enlisting in the Army at 18, he was a member of the 271st Regiment. He traveled to England, throughout France, and Belgium. He felt fear, saw death firsthand, and says he met God. He holds his own story close. However, he has been submitted for this award because of his extraordinary valor. Please join me in honoring William Combs as our 2015 military hero. Thank you so much, William, and please join me in welcoming Marlene Cassani, President of Delaware County Foundation.
Good morning, everyone. What a great group we have today. It is my honor to present the Community Hero Award to Elijah Campbell. Elijah has a green thumb and a heart of gold. After learning of a need from a friend of his in California, whose family is a veteran family, but also had been deployed and needed some assistance in some yard work and doing things around the house, that sort of thing. And he thought, well, you know, we have needs like that right here in Delaware. And so he took to technology, Facebook, and said, hey, do you know a veteran with a need? And sure enough, a friend came back and said, absolutely, my father. That connection was made to our previous awardee, William Combs. One of the needs Elijah found when he visited Mr. Combs was the fact that there was a tree that had been planted in the area in memory of his wife who had died recently from cancer. But it was in an area where he couldn't water it and he couldn't visit it. So Elijah and company came up with a solution, and that was an automatic watering system and some beautiful plantings to really honor her memory. Well, not only that, but he also takes care of the yard as well as some others, and has said that this is the kind of thing he wants to continue in terms of giving back to a great community in Delaware. So please welcome Elijah. And let's welcome back Chief Donahue to the podium.
Thank you, Marlene, and again, good morning. As your local fire chief, I've had the great privilege to work hand in hand with area first responders and many workplace heroes that are right there when we need them the most. It takes a special person to give themselves in this way. Our 2015 workplace hero, George Mitchell, and the Mitchell House of Powell, serves patients and families being impacted by Alzheimer's and dementia. Their focus on quality living includes small patient load and top-notch care. Each patient care plan is focused on who they are, what their interests are, and their own personalities. The Mitchell House has transformed how patient care has occurred for those special citizens. Please join me in recognizing George Mitchell and the Mitchell House. Thank you so much, George. I would now like to invite our United Way Vice President Barb Lyons to the stage to join me and present our special From the Heart Hero Award. Our local United Way has been instrumental on the cutting edge presenting programs that respond to the needs of our community with relevant resources that offer solutions to complex societal issues. Barb?
Short, I'm losing my voice. Here we go. Thank you, Chief Donahue. I'm very pleased and honored to present From the Heart Heroes Award to a group of very deserving individuals that performed extraordinary acts of valor when a situation occurred at the Delaware Area Career Center. On February 25th, 2015, a student with no prior issues in his medical history collapsed at the Career Center. Austin Walker, Dan Yarnell, David Gillum, and Dan Huffman, along with PJ Titus, all worked together to take immediate life-saving action, including performing CPR, using the AED, and completing a successful resuscitation of the student. These lifesavers took action with early recognition of the issue, CPR and use of the defibrillator. Please join me with a huge round of applause for this group that displayed teamwork at its best. Would you all join me? life-saving response. Now I'd like to have Mayor Riggle come back to the stage and present the Community Programming Award.
Good morning again. I am honored to tell you about the Community Programming Hero, Jackie Bain. Jackie is part of the Delaware, I'm a lot taller than she is, sorry. Jackie is part of the Delaware General Health District. She is known throughout Delaware County for her love of the community. Jackie works tirelessly to share the message of community involvement, partnership, and safety. She has inspired area residents to adopt safe practices by promoting the program, which is Citizen Safe, and is the reason that Jackie Bain is our 2015 Community Program Hero. Please join us on stage. Welcome Chris Cooper, Major Gift Officer for the Delaware County, to the stage. I think I'm kind of in the middle of the last two in terms of height. I'm very pleased to be here today. I'm actually going to share an award. The award winners could not be here because they have 450 students at their factory learning about mobility safety. So I couldn't hardly argue with that. And so I'm going to be going in 2 weeks to their plant and sharing their award. Honda of America, located in Marysville, Ohio, has a large number of employees that work and live, rather, right here in Delaware County. For the past several years, they've been keenly aware of the importance of our Safe Family Fun Days, a day where we fit students for bike helmets. We provide opportunities for experiential learning with everything from our local fire department, providing what looks like a fire, and the student gets to use a water spigot to be able to blow that out. We've had smoke houses there. They have provided fantastic games that help to reinforce the important messages about safety, such as children will often be found if they perish in a fire under a bed or in a closet. And so we're encouraging them through that day to understand what they need to do in terms of an escape route. Honda has been there every step of the way. They've provided human resources with their staff, helping to make sure that we man the booths. They've provided financial resources to help us with securing helmets and other things that are needed throughout that day. So please join me in a round of applause for Honda of America for their winner this year of our Workplace Hero. Thank you. I want to make one quick comment, and then I'm going to invite our CEO back up to the stage. But I think it's absolutely amazing that we had a 14-year-old young man who knew to use an EpiPen and saved a life. We had a group of people that jumped into action to save a student at Delaware JDS. I've come to a number of these events, and to see that level of leadership and take charge in our young community, I think everyone in this room should be proud of those individuals that we are bringing through our school system and raising, because I don't know about you, but I want them to be there if I'm that person. So a huge thank you to all of the students that And with that, I'm going to bring Matt Bertram, our esteemed CEO, back to the stage.
All right. I'm going to echo what Chris said. It's always nice to hear about. I'm lucky I'm sitting next to the mayor, Mayor Riggle. Thank you for coming today. And we were talking about how it's nice to be at a breakfast like this We talk about the good things that are happening in the community. Because so many times we focus on problems, but the reality is so many great things still happen. So, and I also want to put a shout out to her. How many honor flights have we led? 8 honor flights. I think we owe the mayor a round of applause. She leads the honor flight program. I'm fortunate enough to get to choose the new award that we have for this year. It's called the Spirit of the Red Cross Award. And it's going to be given to a volunteer every year who gives countless hours and serves with valor here in the Delaware community. This year's first recipient has made a difference in countless lives across our community. His tireless work, working with the disaster action team, he's there when horrific fires and disasters strike, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This deserving volunteer does this, like many of our volunteers, while holding down a full-time job in a leadership position. So it's my honor, I'm going to ask Jim Rothman, please come up here and join me, the recipient of the very first Spirit of the American Red Cross Award. Jim, congratulations. Mayor, we got the blanket on that one right. See, that's good. I'm also going to turn back over to Jeff Hogan. He's going to share with us some of his experiences on 10 TV and kind of his view of what a hero is. And then after that, we're going to lead us into the winners of the writing competition. So thank you for coming today. Thank you for hosting this, and thanks for sharing your thoughts, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, my pleasure, man. Yeah, there's a couple of blankets left over there, so I know we're not done yet. I was mowing my lawn on the morning of April 15th, 2013, and my phone rang. It was in my pocket, and it was the station. And I'd been off for a couple of hours, and I was wondering, you guys have a full crew in there for the day, you got the night side taken care of, I'm done after the morning, what do you need me for? I'm finished, I'm tired. And they said, we need your running contacts around town. And I said, sure, but why? What's going on? And they said, a bomb exploded at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. And I was asked to come here today and speak about what a hero means to me and what a hero, the heroes I've come across through the television business. And Matt nor anybody else that knows what I'm going to talk about today. They had no idea. They didn't ask me what my topic was. And I thought for a minute that I said, why are they asking me to do this? And, by the end of this talk, you may be asking yourself the same thing. But one thing that I noticed today is that all the heroes that came up here to accept their award, my script said they may say a few words. The next person came up and underneath it said they may say a few words. Not one of those heroes decided to come to the mic. And that's what heroes do. Their actions speak louder than any words. And also, I was asked to take a few minutes here, and if I take more than a few minutes, I'm going to need Sean's bed over there because it's getting late in my morning here. Or I'm going to need a shot of that EpiPen. I need some adrenaline here to keep it going if I get some help. But I thought about it, and I do have a kind of a unique insight into that day. And they wanted my running contacts, and I said, sure. And we talked a little further. I figured out, they said, we think that we have some runners. We have some local runners there. And I said, I know we have local runners there. I said, I did preview stories leading up to it. I said, we have 680 runners from the state of Ohio at the Boston Marathon right now. I said, we need to go. They said, give me your contacts, let's talk. I said, we need to go. We can't talk, we need to go. Because I said, I know 24 Central Ohioans who are there right now. And at that point, we were still trying to figure out what had happened, who was involved, who was injured, and, God forbid it was anybody here who we knew, our families or friends. So the station started getting onto it, and I I don't know who was fumbling through the whole thing, but I just got on my computer and I booked 2 tickets. And for being a photographer, it's all I needed. Let's go. I called them back and I said, I've got flights. Tell the photographer, let's go. We're all supposed to, anyway, have go bags in our car so we can go wherever we need to go whenever breaking news happens. So I happened to be home, so I had the luxury of being able to throw a quick bag together and get to the airport. And the photographer met me at the airport. And before the 11 o'clock news that night, we were in Boston. And it was just driving around, and you couldn't get too close to the scene, but knowing, the type of personal commitment that it took for those folks to get to that level of accomplishment, to get to the Boston Marathon, and the lifetime goals that were at stake to finish a Boston Marathon. And the reason the station called me immediately, not just because I'm committed to be fit guy or whatever, at the station, I ran the Boston Marathon the year before. So I knew the finish line dynamics and kind of my way around that scene. So it made perfect sense for me to go. And it was just a few months after I had left town for another trip, December 14th of 2012. And I went to Newtown, Connecticut. And a very different scene there where I don't necessarily find a lot of heroes in that scene. There was courage, but not the opportunity for a lot of heroism. There was sadness and disbelief and the shock of the horrific circumstances that had taken place, and the bewilderment and the denial and the profoundly sad and surreal circumstances that were going on there. But very different than going to the Boston Marathon, where you have accomplishments at stake for people who have worked so hard, and then to have them stolen and uprooted through an act like that, and have those dreams shattered and those accomplishments denied, just made it that much different. And the circumstances surrounding it also lent itself to more heroism than I had seen in any story that I had done before. 25 years in television, I had 18 of which were as a sportscaster, and I thought I knew, guy who scores the winning touchdown, catches the pass, or makes the basket, there's your heroes. But we throw around that word for those people so often in those situations that it's just cavalierly tossed about that it loses its magnitude when you're talking about field of life and battlefields and places like that where people have fought. This was the largest crime scene that I had obviously ever come upon. 15 blocks worth of crime scene tape and people back away. It's the largest crime scene law enforcement had seen. I talked to many who were there, and the most intricate that many law enforcement had seen. Not just the sheer size of it, but every little thing was an article of evidence. And they didn't know until they had a chance to look at everything. And up a couple of stories as well, not just on the street level all around, but up a few stories. So what I was witnessing was the most significant security presence since 9/11 that we had come across anywhere. Local police were canceling their vacations and going immediately on 12-hour rotating shifts. The FBI came in, the National Guard came in. They set up a multi-block compound that is something that I've never seen, and the amount of vehicles and all-terrain units and all kinds of technology that rolled in there. It was impressive as a central command for what was going on there. The finish line, as I had remembered it from the year before, was almost intact. because when it happened, when the bombs went off, everybody scattered and everybody left the area and everybody dropped everything they had. So the finishers' medals were still sitting on the tables. The bananas and the apples and the baby strollers that were just sitting in the street empty. And the bags and the backpacks and the articles of clothing and everything else was untouched and just left there because everybody got out, not knowing what or if anything else was going to happen. I did about a dozen interviews in a short period of time there. Every one of them was with somebody from Central Ohio. So we had such a huge presence there. As I mentioned, 680 runners from the state of Ohio. And I didn't have to interview anybody who wasn't from Central Ohio, from Marysville, from New Albany, from Upper Arlington, from South Columbus, from East Columbus, all of them. And none of them cared about the race. They all were concerned with the folks who were hurt and what they could do. And there wasn't a lot at that point. Overnight had passed, and the station said, "Listen, you've been up all day, you've been up all night now. You guys can do your morning live shots, and then you can go to bed and catch up, and then we'll get back with you later." And I said, "There is no way, because I know how this works." First of all, the TSA was at the airport already checking people's video from cameras as they were leaving. Because they knew as soon as people left the area, they would have no more chance of gaining that evidence again. They'd be gone with their video or the pictures or whatever. They wanted everything that they could possibly have. So TSA was stopping people to check that. And you couldn't get rental cars. Everything was backed up. You couldn't get rental cars. People were trying to find friends to drive back because flights were delayed and canceled and everything else. And I said to the folks at the station, I said, "Listen, the first morning after, people are going to be getting out of town. They're going to be done. They're going to be out of here, and they're going to be trying to get on with it." So we just continued to work straight through and find people. And I talked to people that I knew, ear witnesses. They were people who were in their hotels already after the race, because the race was 4 hours and 20 minutes into the race by the time the first bomb went off. And so people were finished and back at their hotel room, and they heard it and thought it was just part of the celebration of the finish line and things like that. So everybody had a different take on what was going on there. A lot of the folks, when they got up the next day, turned from runners into sightseers and started to feel that part of history that everybody could sense that they just witnessed and were part of. And we've all seen the pictures and we've all seen the video and we've all seen what some of those amazing folks did in that area when everything was happening. The sheer terror, the real terror. I found a couple of sisters from here in Central Ohio who swore that they were not going to do the Boston Marathon until they both qualified at the same time, and they would train together, and they would run the race together, and they would finish together. And they did all of that except finish together. Their watches said 25.9 miles. So they were stopped 0.3 of a mile short of realizing their dream of finishing the Boston Marathon together. So that is within sight of Boylston Street, where you turn and go straight down to the finish line, but they were stopped. And to their credit, you know what? They didn't care. They said, we can, they got up the next day, and I met another runner who got up the next day, and she went for a run. She completed the marathon. She was finished before the bomb went off, and she came back, and she went for a run. And I caught up with her, and she was a local lady, and I said, is this normally your routine after you run a marathon? That's not quite enough. You need to go run some more. And she said, I'm running because I can. Because there's people today who can't because of what happened yesterday. So just a a memorable scene as far as a reporter being there. I'm a runner, so I'm fond of the running community. Just to be there on that site down the street where I could see the finish line and reporting there about what happened, and seeing a memorial right next to me grow every hour with people coming by and turning into sightseers and well-wishers for everyone else as it went along. So thinking about the actions of the people as that day went on, as the scene unfolded there, and it was just, nothing you could ever predict, nothing you could ever predict how you would respond to, nothing you could ever train for, really, to that extent of it. So the greatest accomplishment for a lot of people was right at their fingertips and right there at the grasp, and it turned into and was replaced by one of the greatest tragedies we've seen. But it was also followed immediately in that short time frame right after it by some of the most impressive acts of heroism that we could ever see. The people who were, carried folks, missing limbs out of that area to safety. And just to see the wide range, and I'm not just talking about the first responders, paramedics and firefighters and police who were there, but the humanity, the citizens of Boston, and visitors, and the people who put themselves together and had the sense to do what they did to clear folks out of there and get out of the area, and do what they had to do to get their loved ones to safety, because phones went down for hours. People who were running the race, who got stopped along the way, couldn't connect with family because all the phones were cut off. And so it was a grueling time frame, because I spoke to some people the next day who had been there for several Boston marathons and who were on the other side of the street, who said, last year, that's where we watched my mom cross the finish line, from right there. It's the last best viewing spot before the finish line. And you could tell, you could see those people were just shaken. So from the first responders and the firefighters and the paramedics and the citizens of Boston and visitors, like I said, just helping that kind of scene. Unfortunately, we see it in news all the time, and we see, the tragedy. When I was in sports, and I switched out of sports, I underestimated how depressing the news can be sometimes, because in sports, you concentrate on the winners, typically. And in news, so often, it seems like if a plane doesn't crash, we don't report on it. And if a bank isn't robbed, there's no news there. So to be put in that perspective with something horrific that happened right there, having seen it all around, but also see that glimmer of what real heroes can do and what they can mean. I'll sum it up with this, that I think because you're the folks out there who run towards the fires instead of away from them to safety, like most of us are taught, towards the trouble instead of finding a safe spot, towards the front lines instead of in the back, towards some of the most dangerous places in the world instead of the safety sometimes of our country, and sometimes even to death's doorstep and beyond that threshold sometimes. So you go after the bad guys when the rest of us go home. And for that, I thank you, and for that, I think that there are heroes here among us, certainly today. And many of you are here in this room who handle this earth's most precious commodity, which is human life. And you do it every day, and you do it as a matter of fact, that you're doing your job, and life is fragile, and you understand that, and you don't need a microphone to come up here and tell people about it, but I'm sure glad I had the opportunity to tell it for you just a little bit here this morning, so I thank you for listening, and I think we have more of the program left here to get to. We have our 2015 writing contest winners, I think. Am I on track with that coming up? That sounds about right. From ServPro, who's a member of the Delaware County Advisory Board. She's going to present the 2015 writing contest winners, all right?
Good morning, thank you. I want to take a moment to reflect on what the audience believes is a hero. This is the question we posed to the youth of our community in this year's student writing contest, and we received some amazing responses. We have chosen 6 exceptional students to receive the award of this year's contest. This is truly an honor to be up here today, not only in the same room as our heroes, but also to be presenting such special awards. It is truly incredible to see such dedication and compassion in the students, but in their writing, but also in their personalities. At this time, I'd first like to welcome Evelyn Krause to the stage to receive her award. And I am going to ask that all the students stay on the stage for a photo. Okay. Next, I'd like to present to Max Chizever. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. All right, next I'd like to call up Patty Baker. Gabriel King. Emily Parrish. And finally, Alexa Thrush. All right, congratulations to all of our students on a job well done.
Whoops, sorry about that. So a big thank you to all of our heroes and our writing contest winners. Can we have another round of applause, please? Thank you. I'd like to take just a moment to recognize our advisory board who helped lead the planning of this event. Anyone who's ever been in an event planning knows that it takes sometimes what feels like a cast of thousands to make it happen. And so if our advisory board members would please stand, I'd like to give you a round of applause and thank you. Thank you. Your leadership throughout this process has truly been an inspiration. I also want to recognize Mark Garrison. He, as Matt introduced earlier, is our volunteer lead for the Delaware County chapter, and he has been my partner over the last 4 to 5 months planning this event and has done an extraordinary job of working daily on this while working a full-time job. And we all know how difficult sometimes work-life balance can be, and I can only imagine with another 40-hour job as a volunteer. So if you join me in a round of applause for Mark. Thank you. So this picture here, this young man that's in the center, I want to tell you a little bit about him. I had the good fortune to be asked to be deployed to South Carolina during the recent flooding, and I spent 2 weeks there. I worked in-kind donations, and we had people across the U.S. who sent and provided phenomenal life-saving resources. When I got to South Carolina, they were on a ban with their water, of drinking their water. There were many of the restaurants that were closed down. Within the first 3 days, over 1 million bottles of water arrived from phenomenal partners like Walmart, the Seminole Indians from down in Florida, and some of our other partners across the U.S. And we do what we call a bulk distribution, where we go out into the neighborhoods that have been impacted, severely impacted by these storms. It crosses all economic boundaries, so often we'll think that flooding will only impact those that are poor, but there were many folks in wealthy homes, roofs that were caved in, all of their belongings and debris in the front of their home. And on this particular day, this young man arrived fully dressed. It was about 5:30. When we got off the freeway, there was traffic backed up both ways. We were trying to figure out what was going on. Here these folks were waiting for these life-saving supplies. Clorox brought in truckloads of bleach because you can imagine with flooding the amount of mold and cleanup that was impacted. And so I happened to begin to work with this young man, and he told me his story. Just a few days before, his father had been helping some of the community that were engaged in rushing floodwaters, trying to help them to get out of their homes. And this young man lost his father as his father was trying to help these recovery efforts. And he was trying to deal with his grief, and the way that he did that was to arrive as a volunteer to give back to those that his father cared so much about. And as we talk about heroes today, I will always think of him, a young man who all he knew was to give back in his roughest day, his toughest times, and the phenomenal people that came together that day along with him to make a difference for their mankind and their fellow man. So thank you. Here in our Delaware County area, we had a number of businesses and individuals that stepped forward and have contributed to that South Carolina flooding. Things like a $50 donation translates into 10 blankets. And some of these folks, they had no blankets, they had no bedding, they had no beds, and they were so tickled just to get a blanket to be able to sleep. They slept in huge shelters. We had 23 shelters in Columbia, South Carolina alone. And so you're sleeping side by side, individuals you don't know, and you don't have those basic fundamentals of life, and those things mean a lot during that time frame. One family of 4, we can help and get them back on their feet through an emergency shelter for about $200. And 20 service members overseas, we can send comfort kits for through that type of a donation as well. Without all of you and our generous community, those things would never be possible. We'd never be able to help each other. And so we will be eternally grateful for all of you that have supported both this event, the American Red Cross, and your fellow man. As you leave today, we're going to have a special gift for everyone in this room. As Matt mentioned, we have a home fire preparedness campaign that is going on, and I think every one of us is bound and determined that we're not going to lose any lives due to fires. And the goal behind this is to ensure that every home, on every level of their home, has a smoke alarm, a working smoke alarm, a battery, I went out on one of the canvassing event. We held an elderly lady who said, I've got smoke alarms on all 3 of my floors, but I haven't looked at them for quite some time. I can't get up on a ladder. And so our wonderful fire department climbed on the ladder to find a crusted battery. Yes, they were there, but we were able to just replace that battery, and those particular alarms were able to be used again. We had new ones if we needed to install those as well. So phenomenal work by our partners as well. So everyone in this room, when you leave, if you'd like to have a new fire or smoke alarm, we will take your information. We've got volunteers at the front desk. We'll schedule a time. We'll get your name and your phone number, and we'll come out and install that for you. If you need your batteries checked, we'll do that. We'll give you a 10-year long life battery. And if you and your family have not had a discussion about a preparedness plan or don't know where to start, we will come out and help you with that as well. We've got beautiful grids to plot out the upstairs of your home and help you to begin those discussions with your children and your family about what you're going to do in the event of a fire. We want to provide you this life-saving gift along with the Delaware Fire Department. Our Delaware County Foundation made a phenomenal donation to us. We've already had one canvassing event that has really impacted our community, so a huge hats off to them as well for your thanks and for your support rather. Please do not take fire lightly. We've got people that we love and we want to take care of them, and this crusade will not stop until we are sure that folks are not going to lose lives to fires. At each table, now I got a little lighthearted thing to tell you. At each of your tables there is one chair that has on the right hand side a dot. And these beautiful moms up here were donated by Fort Myer. And so if you'd like to take one home, one person at each table will have the opportunity to do that. So look for the dots on the sides of your chairs.
In front of it for me to get one of these plants. It was a fix. So as you can see, folks, together we can perform extraordinary acts and transform a life that is in crisis into a life of hope, just like we have seen with our 2015 Delaware Heroes. They've done it in our community. So again, I want to say congratulations to all of our heroes out there. And I would like to ask that 2015 class, by the way, to come up. We're going to take a class picture up front here. Okay, so we'll do that right at the end here as we wrap up. So be safe out there, folks. You heard about the smoke detectors. Sign up for that if you need one out there. They're here to help for that. Safe travels, and thank you so much for having me here today.